Welcome. In this video I'm going to attempt to repair this iPad Air 2, and this one has a couple different problems on it. The charge port here is kind of messed up in its port, and there's no audio, so I think there may be a problem with the headphone port on it. I thought maybe the battery was bad, but I had it charged up and sat for a couple days, and the battery is still up, I think 68% after a couple days, not doing a whole lot with it. So this seems like it's in pretty good working order and a good candidate for repair. So I've turned it off already. To do that, you hold down on the power button and then swipe to turn it off. And also this has nothing on it right now, but you'd want to make sure you back it up because there's a chance you could screw it up. And this is my first iPad repair. I've done a number of phones, so I'm making this video so people can follow along with me. I'll try and mention things to be safe. So if you want to try a repair like this, do it at your own risk. There can be lots of dangers in opening this up, from broken glass to dealing with the lithium battery and things like that. So some of the tools I'm using this Apsung kit here, and then I have some guitar picks that I've had from, these are people call them guitar picks. They're little prying tools I've had from different repair kits. You can use like credit cards and things too. I mean, it's good to have at least a couple of these, and then you can use some credit cards along with them. And then I have these suction cups that come with different kits, but I have this bigger one here, and this is a tripod mount. And in a previous video a few years ago, I had to open an iMac, and the suction cup I used on that one was actually a soap tray that you would use in a shower. So you can find suction cups different places. So this is just one I like because it's easy to hold on to and it's large. So I need to heat up these edges here to pull this off. So what I'm going to be using is this heating pad here. And I'm just going to place it in there, and I'm going to fold it over and let that heat up. So this will probably take quite a few minutes. I just got this at actually it was from Walgreens. It's not even mine, it's my wife's. So she let me borrow it. So I'm going to put that in there. Now if you have a cracked screen, that can be a whole different game to do that. The thing I've heard is to try and put some packing tape over it to kind of keep it together while you're taking it apart. So I'm going to let that heat up, and I'll pause the video and I'll come back after it's heated up. Okay, I've had this in the pad for about a half hour. I don't know if it's hot enough, but we'll try and see if it opens up. I'm going to readjust the camera here. Okay, so you want to go to the camera side, so you have the little front side camera. I'm going to clean this with a microfiber. You don't want to clean this with alcohol after you heat it up because that would just cool it down. So I'll take my suction cup and mount it right here. And I'll see if I can lift this up. Actually, I'm going to adjust this. I have this little tab sitting here that's kind of in the way. So I'll see if I can pry this up, and I just want to slide this in just a tiny bit. Okay, I have a little gap forming there. Okay, there we go. So this isn't super hot. I mean, I could keep my hand on here. I'm going to try these other suction cups on the corners. I'm just going to slide this down. Now this is where you can crack your glass if you're not careful. Okay, you can see the adhesive starting to release here. So I'm going to work my way around and try and peel this up. So you can see I have a pretty good sized gap there now. Going to be very slow. Although it is cooling off now too, so that's something to consider. So just little movements like prying like this could crack the glass. Not saying I'm not doing that every once in a while a little bit, but I'm just taking that risk. Looks like the whole thing is mostly free now except for this back edge. So I need to be very careful here because there are cables down there. I'm going to take these out of here. So this has a little step on it, so it's limited on how far it will go in. Okay, I think I have it loose enough to open up. So this should hinge like so. I'm going to carefully take this suction cup off. Instead of snapping it, I slowly opened it. I don't want that to shock this and to just close back up. So let's see if I can get that back apart real quick. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to shut off my heating pad now. So I need to remove this connector here. I'm using a double-aught Phillips screwdriver. I'll take these 3 screws out. And this still does have power to it, so be very careful. You do not want to puncture this battery. These screws don't seem to be super tight. Sometimes they'll have Loctite on them and they're very difficult to remove. And the first 2 screws, which are the size of grains of sand, look the same. I'm going to use these to carefully take this piece of metal out here. Next, I'm going to use this little plastic spudger under the corner of this to pop that off. There we go. Directly under that, we have 2 digitizer cables, and we'll do the same thing here to pop that off. We'll put the spudger under it, like so. We'll pop those off. There we go. Now the screen can be detached. So now I'm going to tackle the power port here. It looks like there's been stress on these connectors here. I'll see if I can remove these 2 screws. These look similar to the screws earlier, but I'm going to keep them separate just in case they're not. Now there could be power going to this thing, so I got to be careful. I'm going to carefully peel back this piece of tape. I think these are for the speakers actually. Okay, I'm going to keep that piece of tape. So it looks kind of like these are speaker connectors maybe, and it looks like they flip up, like they have a tiny, tiny little lever. I'll see if I can get in on that. So you can see this little lever here to lock this cable in place. Oh, that might be my audio issue. I might not have any problem with the headphone port. So I'll pop this up here. Okay, so now both of these are disconnected. I'm going to pull that out of there temporarily. Pull that out. Hopefully you got a good view of what that looked like. So I think the speakers are disconnected now. I'm going to stick a charge cable in here and see if I can make that move at all. Okay, looks like I broke it loose. I'm going to see if I can lift this assembly out of here. Carefully. Okay, there's a little tiny pin down there, and I think it goes in right here. So this took quite a bit of force, I think, and bent it. I don't know if that's showing up. There's a tiny pin, and it looks like it goes in this hole up here, and I don't know why. Maybe it's an alignment pin? That seems like something that would be easy to lose. I see what's going on here. There are 2 holes here, and when you put this port in, you put those pins in here to hold this in place. So this is actually jammed in here. So I'm going to peel back this tape here. Oops, I ripped it. Okay, I did some searching online, and taking this off is very difficult. It's soldered on there. So I'm going to try and fix this so I can get it back in place. I need to pull this pin out. So I'm going to see if this will pull out. I was able to get it out. Anyone know where I put the other one though? There it is. I think that pin tore out the aluminum. If I were to look down there, I bet I'll see. Well, I can't really see down there. Okay, so I'm going to try and put this back in. I'll bend these speaker wires out of the way. It's a little bit of debris right here. I think it's just plastic. Okay, there we go. You can see the port in there. So now I'll try and get at least one of these pins in there. Okay, I got that in. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but this other pin looks thicker. It looks like it might have aluminum around it. I'll see if I can crush it off with my pliers. Otherwise, I'll have to find a replacement of some sort. I shouldn't be doing this on the battery. Okay, so I pulled out my microscope so I can see this pin up close. You can see there it looks like it has something around it, like some aluminum from the case. I'm going to put these 2 screws in and I'll reconnect the speakers. When I'm putting a small screw in like this, I like to get it started. I like to center it in the hole, and then I'll turn it backwards until I hear a little click. And that means the thread's lined up. Okay, and then I'll turn it the other way to tighten it. And I won't tighten it all the way until the other one is in, just in case it binds. It'll be a very tiny click. If you miss it, you can always go around backwards a second time. So now I'll tighten both of them up. So now I'll get these speaker wires put back in. These tabs are both opened up right now. I think I have that in all the way. I'll put the other one in and see if they look the same. The angle these have to go in here can make it kind of difficult to get them in. I'm going to press all this flat. Okay, so I think that's lined up right. I'll close it now. I'll just fold this towards the center. I'm going to use the little spudger for this. Okay, that's locked in place. Other side's in. I'll lock it in place. Okay. Okay, I think that's looking good. So you can buy a replacement adhesive, but my adhesive on here actually looks very good. So I'm going to realign this one side. The rest of it's still in place, and I'm going to reuse it. And the only reason I'm going to is because this was almost like a throwaway iPad, and then I'll have fixed this thing for free. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this on camera though. I need it right in front of my face and the camera's in the way. Okay, so what I ended up doing was smashing it, and it seems like that outer sheath has come off, but I've also smashed the pin slightly. I was hoping it was a little bit more hardened, so I'm going to try and put it back in here and see how it goes. And I just lost it. So time for plan B. I'm going to find a push pin I can stick in there and cut off. So I got this little box of sewing pins here, and I tried different sizes and didn't find anything that fit. Also in that box was this little safety pin, and it seems like the closest match to that hole. I don't have anything that fits it perfectly. So I'm going to cut this tip off, hopefully into a trash bin so I don't step on it later. And then I'll cut a little cylinder to fit in that hole. I'll just put a piece of tape around the tip so it doesn't fly off. I'm going to first cut it with needle nose to see how well it cuts. That cut pretty easily, and it fits down in the hole. So now I'm going to try cutting them with these flush cut pliers. I'm going to do this over the trash can so the little part doesn't go flying. Okay, I got a little cut there. The reason I didn't start with the flush cut pliers, I wanted to see how these would cut, because these are a little bit tougher, and if these had a tough time cutting it, then I know the flush cut pliers would not cut it. It could ruin the flush cut pliers a little bit, but they're pretty cheap, and if I have to replace them, it's not the end of the world. Plus I'm cutting where it has the highest leverage in the middle, and when I use these to cut filament or other wires, I can always cut towards the end, so it won't ruin the whole blade. So now I'll put this in here, I'll grab it with my pliers, and then I'll go cut it. Although I need to make sure I don't lose that little cylinder. Maybe I'll put a piece of tape over it or something. It's going to be about that long, although I see that's at an angle, so I'm going to get a better grip. I wasn't able to cut it at the tip of these pliers, but I was able to notch it, and then I moved the pliers down so it's toward the back. I didn't have enough leverage at the end. So I captured that in my tape. See how long I can hold on to this before it flies out. And I lost it, but I think it landed on the table. Okay, I found it. I could have cut another one if I needed to. Okay, that fits in there pretty nice. Okay, so now I have to reassemble everything. So I did start pulling up some tape right here, so I'm going to cover that up with a little bit of electrical tape. Now I'll turn this around. I need to put these connectors back in place. I'll put the plate on, screw it back down, and then I need to line this up really good and press it into place. Now if your adhesive is damaged, then what you would want to do is clean the adhesive around here with some 90% or higher isopropyl alcohol and a swab, and you'd want to use very little as you can to clean that off, and also clean around the screen itself, and then you'd want to put on the new adhesive. You'd have to line it up really good. Okay, I'm going to get this all hooked back together. So I'll line up the digitizer connectors, I'll press them down, and then I'll line this up and press it down. I wasn't able to get a good shot of that, but those just clicked right in. So I'm going to do something that may not be a good idea, and I'm going to try and start this up. If it doesn't work, there's no point in sticking it back together. Well, the speaker's not working, so that's a good sign. So I'm going to shut it down now. I propped this up with a roll of tape. So it's kind of stuck down here. I'm going to take the tape out, and I'll pull that off, and then I'll hover it over and line it up really good. It fits inside that little lip, so it's not too terribly difficult. Now I'll try and power it on again. I haven't really pressed it down really hard, in case I do need to pop it back open. Okay, it booted up. I'll place the cable in down here. It's charging. I'll open up YouTube. And there we have audio. So that's my experience fixing this iPad. And my eyesight's not super great, so it's kind of hard looking at these small components. But I was able to fix it. I think that pin's going to work okay. The port looks okay from the outside, and I think we'll get a couple more years use out of this. I am going to get a case for it, so that's one other thing I need to do. But otherwise, I think it's good to go. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.